it's been a game changer. Like, I just feel like, okay, just keep doing this. That's it. It's so simple. I don't even have to think about it. I've got the pillars of what I need to do. Enjoying working out again. Results wise, what happened over the time? The biggest thing for me is I'm in a great routine with working out regardless of where I am, and eating regardless of where I am. So I don't fear a airport option anymore, or travel. I travel quite a lot for work and for fun. So I'm not sort of checking out when I go travel anymore, which is great. So I feel like I have a toolkit of what to eat, when, how to work out regardless of where I am. So that's no longer an issue. I'm fitting back into the clothes that I bought, but I thought I'm never going to get back into these clothes. So that's nice. On the weight loss side, I always expect more out of everything I do. But what I've actually seen during this process is I can hit two goals. I was actually worried about getting too skinny. I know that sounds vain, but I like to lift and I like to be strong. So I was worried about going too low, too lean, too fast, and then losing strength. So while my weight's gone down, which is great, it's actually based on my progress photos, I've definitely defined and put on muscle during this time. So I've definitely lost the fat back into clothes that I only fit into at a lower weight previously. So for me, it's a well-rounded program that I can keep going and achieving my goals longer term. So as far as actual results, when we started, I was 192.6 pounds. And this morning, I'm 178.7. So yes, very happy with the results, how I look and how I'm fitting into clothes, and actually getting some nice compliments from people I haven't seen in some time. So that's been cool as well. So I was looking for a coach mostly because I needed just a little bit of help pushing me in the right direction. I kind of knew what to do, but I needed someone to help me motivate myself to actually go do what I needed to do. I just needed help getting past the tipping point. I kind of had some things go on in personal life, professional life, that made me not focus on my health and fitness, and I needed some help getting back. So I guess the main thing was fitting back into some old clothes. Well, not so old. I'd literally just bought them 6 months prior, and I couldn't fit into them anymore, and that was a bit embarrassing. So fitting back into clothes, getting back into a good rhythm, and figuring out a balance where I know what to eat and how to train regardless of my travel schedule or regardless of how busy I was at work, which fluctuates quite a lot too. Being an entrepreneur, I like to dictate the schedule and tell other people what to do. So I struggle a little bit with that. I just made the decision to do it anyway. At the time, I wasn't able to shift things in the right direction myself. So I needed help. I knew that. I loved how excited Rosie gets when there's a difficulty in availability of equipment. So whenever I was traveling and said, hey, I'm doing this thing this weekend or for these next 4 days, Rosie would have a huge grin on her face and say, okay, here's what we're going to do. Here's all the options. Tell me what's in the room. What's the schedule like? Here's some options. And it wasn't just one option. I think that happened about 4 or 5 times, maybe over the course of working together. And it took something that for me, I didn't have the bandwidth to really even think about or plan. But for Rosie, it was the best thing ever. And I actually enjoyed saying, hey, this is happening, instead of thinking, oh, this is going to be a pain because I can't get to the gym or whatever. Or I've got these catch-ups happening and all this awesome food. I've never been to this country before. I didn't have that hesitation after. Working with Rosie as a coach, the things I liked best were I didn't have to count calories. That was a game changer for me, because I thought that was pretty much the only way to stay on track long term or track macros or anything like that. So Rosie made it easy for me to understand what I should be eating, how to think about portion sizes with very little effort, and knowing what to eat, when to eat over time just compounded and made things easier as we went along. So that was pretty amazing. I do what I want most of the time. There was enough push to keep me on track, but not so much that it was overbearing. If I went off track, it wasn't a big deal. It's okay, what are we doing now to come back on track? So yeah, I felt like I could talk openly about what was happening, good and bad, whether it was a downer that was making me eat or drink too much, or a success that was the opposite. Didn't matter. So it felt like I had someone in my corner the whole way, cheering me on and directing me in the right way. So making things super simple to understand, implement, and compounded over time, that created a huge result. Working with Rosie, if you're like me, wanting just that little bit of a push to get started again, or if you don't really know how to get started, I feel like Rosie's the perfect coach to get you from where you are now to where you really want to be on that track to where you want to be. And it's possible. I mean, if I can do it, you can do it. So definitely reach out to Rosie. I can't recommend her highly enough. I'll definitely be sending friends her way that are in a similar spot to I was.